I'm with an old friend, and it's so great to see you because I feel like I'm traveling back in time. You look exactly the same as the last time I
Thank you.
saw you. It's Brad Arnold from Three Doors Down, and it's just so great to see you. My gosh, my friend.
It's great to see you too, and thank you for having me today. And it's good to be here with you.
We're excited in New Jersey, WDHA presenting the show at the PNC Bank Arts Center on June 28th, along with our good friends in Candlebox. So I want to talk a little bit about the Away from the Sun anniversary, and I want to talk about sophomore records because I think sophomore records can be very special. This record is very special for a multitude of reasons. First of all, you come off a giant debut. So the sophomore record, obviously very important. And this one, 17 weeks on the charts, multiple platinum singles, a record that meant a lot to people because we were coming off of a time where it was just such a tumultuous time in the country. And everybody really gravitated towards this record. So talk to me about putting it together and why it was special for you guys.
Well, this record was really special for us because it was the first record that we wrote like as a professional band. Not that there's really such thing, but you have like everybody says, you have your whole life to write your first record, and you not really long to write your second record. But we went, and we had such, by the grace of God, had such a big record with The Better Life. It's a lot to follow up with. And it's also a lot to follow up with as a 23-year-old kid. And I mean, we were 20 when we got signed, and I was 21 when I went on the road with The Better Life record. And, in 23 when we started writing Away from the Sun, and we had been through so much in that 2 years. It seemed like we had been through a lifetime on that record and played so many shows and gone so many places. And it was our first record to say, okay, like, this is our job. We're a professional band, and like, we have to write a record. But it wasn't like we had to write a record. It was just the first time that, like, it was our job to do so. And I'll never forget the writing process of this record. We wrote it down in Mobile, Alabama, and we're all from over in down in South Mississippi, but just right across the state line. We rented a house over there and set up and just wrote that record over the course of, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, I guess, or maybe it might have been longer than that. I don't know. But I can remember each song and still singing these songs, and it always has. It's crazy how singing a song takes you back to where you were when you wrote it. And
Total time travel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it brings me back when I think about writing Away from the Sun. I think about writing it a lot with Matt, our original guitar player, and Matt passed away, and so it brings me back to memories with him, and I like it. I like to think about little conversations that we had when we were writing this record and situations, and then the inspiration for the songs that that brought them about. Like, a lot of them they're not like really happy memories, but it's still valuable memories to think about, like what inspired the song Away from the Sun, or what inspired the song Here Without You. And Here Without You is really about being away from my wife at the time, but it's really more about the idea of being away. And because that was one of the things that really, When I'm Gone really hit a chord with a lot of the military people, and it was really opened the door for our relationship with the military. And we're all from military families. My dad was in the Air Force, and Chris, our guitar player, was in the Navy, and so we've always been very military oriented. But we had done that tour and shot the video for When I'm Gone on that tour, which it was not even supposed to be the video for the song. We'd already shot a completely different video for that song. And then, then the years that followed, hearing so many soldiers of how that record had meant so much to them on deployment and being away, and not just When I'm Gone, but more so like Here Without You, because it's like, man, that was when they'd sit there and listen to it on the phone with their wife from
Brings me back to that
and
time. Absolutely. It's like that record is like, for me, a timestamp, really. When I was at WDHA when the debut came out, and I was at DHA, when the second record came out, and those are definitely like timestamps. Well, let's rewind. I want to rewind and let's go back to The Better Life, because you talked about making that, record and how everything came to be. but that was a shot out of a cannon moment for you guys.
Whew.
This was, the story has it that, your local radio station in Mississippi kind of picked up Kryptonite, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and boom. I mean, you guys were the band everywhere. #1 singles, Grammy nominations, radio tours, quadruple platinum records. When you are a kid and to have that happen, that's something else that is beyond comprehension for an average person like me or anybody else. What do you remember about that time? And how do you process that now that you're a grown up, now that you're an adult?
I am so, so, so thankful that I had a good family. I'm so thankful. Because, I mean, I'm the youngest of 7 kids. I have a great mom and daddy. And, I mean, that's a lot to handle. And, I mean, even with all that, it was just a lot to hand the kid. And not that, it's just you pushed into that world and we went from, being from a little Gulf Coast town, and the only time I ever really went anywhere was like family vacations and stuff. I'd never left my town, and I remember even going up to Memphis to record that record was a little bit of a shell shock, And then we went out on the road and we'd be gone for 3 months. For those first couple of years, we played almost 300 shows a year, and
Wow.
we were in probably 25 or 30 countries in those 2 years, and it puts you in a lot of a lot of positions that it's hard to say no to, and and over the years, it took me through being an alcoholic and all kind of fun stuff. And now, I've been
Absolutely. You're in these situations that, a young, inexperienced person is not normally in. And when you're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things thrown at you, it is not an easy thing to sort of come through and process. So I can completely understand that. And that record, I just remember, was that timestamp for 2000. I mean, that was literally how we sort of entered that decade with that sound for you guys. And it was not small. We had bands that came around that time that did these giant, it was beyond platinum success. You guys and Creed and just all of this, bam. And, you were the band, and that's a lot for a young 21, 2-year-old kid
it was a
to
lot.
process. Yeah.
It was a lot. And you know what? And it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
Oh, I will imagine that. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I have so much more fun now sober. I've been sober for 7 years, and I wish I could go back and do it all again and leave all that stuff alone. But you know what? Not because it wasn't fun, just because I would be able to remember it a lot better.
Yeah, you're wiser now, and you can sort of live a little better in the moment and realize, all the sort of fruits of your labor. The riches are definitely different when you're older than when you're inexperienced and younger. But regardless, you guys did so much because, of course, you put out the Better Life Foundation, which
Yep.
What an amazing thing to look back on. I mean, and it's still going on. It's like the 20th anniversary. And to think that you did this not only as an artist, but as a human being, and affected so many people. When you look back on that now, and I mean, you've helped everyone from veterans to humanitarian efforts, and you put on, the Better Life concerts, which started, I think, in 2010, around 2010, every year. What a tremendous legacy, not only as a band and an artist, but as a human being to have.
I've been very blessed to be a part of that. And we've been doing the Better Life Foundation for a long time, and to see where the money goes to, and we really focus on the concert. All the money goes in the foundation, and we are very careful not to waste it, not to spend it on things that kind of get wasted. We want to see the most effect come from that, and here lately it seems like there's constantly a natural disaster, or there's something. Yep. And that we fund a lot of things. We try to really, when it's something like that, we try to really go for grassroots organizations. Like, somebody's going to do the labor for free, we donate the money for the materials. You know what I'm saying? So that you really get, if people are going to donate to something, we really want to make sure that it's really effective. But there are a lot of people that work a lot harder on that foundation than me. I'm glad to be a part of it and very proud to do so. And glad to have Candlebox going to be at our show with us this
Yeah,
year.
I was
And
reading that.
for
That's
that,
so awesome.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Candlebox because they're going out on the road with you. I think this is going to be this tour, they want to put out a final record and kind of do a final tour. And we talked a little off recording, and both being big Candlebox fans. And you said that they were one of the first bands that you really loved and saw, and you were a fan then. So how did you connect with them to get out on the road with them this time? And what's your relationship like with the guys in the band? Because I adore those guys.
Well, I really, they were one of the first bands I ever seen live. They were one of my first 5 bands I ever seen live. And
Wow.
they were the first band that I ever walked away from, like saying, man, that was a good show. And, they're like 8 years in front of us career wise. And so, I enjoyed those guys' music for a long time before we got going. We were a band for a little while before we got signed. But anyway, um, those guys, they've been an inspiration. I could sing that first record probably backwards of
Right.
theirs. And so I've known Kevin for years. I don't know what year we met, but we've played several shows together and never not toured together. We've played like little one-off shows and some festivals and stuff together over the years. And so we were both glad to see this tour come together. Just companies get together and suss it all out and say, figure out what works. And they ask us, and of course, it's an honor and a pleasure to go out with those guys this summer, and we're glad to have them with us. And I say, you always try to have fun with bands, and most bands you do have fun with, but it's nice, it's cool when you take a band out that like you'll be standing on the side of the stage looking forward to listening to them play, not just
Yeah. Oh,
kind of.
yeah. Yeah.
And so,
We're looking forward to it too. I mean, the catalog between both bands is just tremendous. So we're going to get an awesome show. I read somewhere too where you said this is going to be like a next level tour. This is going to be one of our next level tours. Explain that to me. What can we expect when we're coming out?
Well, our goal is to make you leave with a smile on your face. But I think just the amount of songs that you're going to hear that you'll know, I think the people will possibly leave with a smile on their face and maybe a sore throat. Because that, I mean, like I said, I can sing that whole Candlebox first record. I know a lot more people can too, and and people know we're going to play all the songs off Away from the Sun with the other singles kind of mixed in there with it, and so it'll be a lot of songs people know. And we we done the 20th year anniversary for the Better Life record a couple of years ago, and it was cool too, and we played it all the way through as well. But what inspired that one was a couple of years ago at our Better Life Foundation. We played the whole. We didn't have an opening band, so we came out and we played our set, and then went off and took a little break for a second, and we came back out and we played the whole Away from the Sun record, and we enjoyed it so much that that's what inspired that last tour. So we've been waiting on this one to turn 20 so we could do it with this one.
Oh, that's
and
great.
It's just a fun record to get out and sing. It's a fun record. It's a fun record for me to sing. All those songs, I really enjoy singing all those songs, and they're good and in my range, and so it's just fun to get out there and do it.
Oh, it's going to be great. And it's funny. I was writing down like, Away from the Sun in its entirety. And also, the rest of the Three Doors Down. And I was going to say classics because now I think about it, these are classic radio. These are classic rock radio songs. I mean, you probably now can't turn on a rock radio station without hearing these songs. And it must feel so great to have your work stand the test of time. Not every band can say that, 20 something years after the fact, these are still some of the, the most played songs on rock radio. That's pretty freaking cool.
It is cool. And we're beyond blessed to do that. And then a really cool thing that I've started seeing in the last couple of years and more so is like you see these kids, I'm like, this is the 20th year anniversary for Away from the Sun, but like, so now Kryptonite came out, and it came out in '99. That first record came out in February of 2000. So that's 23 years, and it's really cool now to look out in the front of the crowd and see all these kids that beyond a doubt these songs are older than they are,
Yeah,
and
they
they
weren't
know
even
every
born.
word to them. And it's cool for me because I'm like I said, I'm the youngest of 7 kids. And so my older brothers are quite a bit older than me, and my oldest sister is quite a bit older than me. And so, I grew up listening to what they grew up listening to. And so now, I know that these kids have known these songs their whole life from their mom and dad or their older brothers and sisters and stuff. And it's cool to see them out there singing them and kind of, you know, even if they are looking at you like an old man.
They're not. But I love that. And I love that too. When I'm out at a show, I look at these rock radio listeners who have their kids there too. And it's just, and sometimes grandkids, and it's just amazing. We had a show last year with Godsmack, and there was a girl there, and she said, "This is my grandmother, and we've got pit seats. Grandma loves Godsmack." And I had to take a picture of them. I'm like, I love you. I love you, ladies. And it's very, very energizing to see. And I can imagine looking out into that crowd and seeing multi-generations of people. Just tremendous. When did you know that you were a great songwriter too? Because obviously you don't keep songs on rock radio and have songs, and on TV and everything, if you're not a great songwriter. When did you know you could really write?
I kind of got into songwriting through writing poems and through writing little short stories and things. And I wrote a lot of our first record in my high school algebra class, and I wrote probably the other half of it mowing big tank. I used to drive a bush hog, a big tractor, mowing grass in refinery tank fields down there on the Gulf Coast, and I would just ride around singing or kind of singing to myself and coming up with things. But to me, just what makes a great song is a song that everybody can identify with, and I you know I think a good song is one they can identify with, but a great song maybe is one that they can make their own, and I always just try to write what I feel and never try to be pretentious with it and stuff because I think pretentious songs go away. You know what I mean? Flashy, like, let's talk about me and all my stuff I have. Those songs kind of don't last.
Mm.
But when we talk about ideas that we all feel and emotions that we all feel, those feelings have been around forever and they'll continue to be around. And I think a song that identifies with those feelings rather than our possessions are songs that tend to last longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Connecting songs, they just connect.
Absolutely.
So speaking of, you guys are featured now in this new TV kind of thing that's coming out called The Song. TheSong.tv is where you can get information about it. And it's you and Frampton and Paul Rogers. There's all these like fantastic songwriters and bands and stuff, which is really, really exciting. Tell me a little bit about that project. It's on Ally and people can get it again, thesong.tv, and there's going to be a whole streaming component that's coming up. So when you're approached to do something like that, what's that like?
They had purchased to come play on the song, and we were glad to do so. It's some friends of our manager that were producing the show, and asked us to come do it, and we recorded it here in town, here in Middle Tennessee, and so it was cool to go out there to the farm. We just spend a day at a farm, and it's kind of a backdrop as in a stable, but it's really cool to go out there and just do that project and it's not acoustic, but it was kind of stripped down in a way, and that's how we like to play anyway. We do acoustic tours sometimes, and it was just a cool process. It was the first time that we had done anything like that in a while, and I don't but yeah, it's the first time in a long time that we've done a series of songs recorded in a setting like that, and it turned out really good. It really was cool, and my manager, when he was asking me about doing it, he was telling me, there's going to be a bunch of people on there, and he says, "Buddy, producing it, come, let's do it." And I was like, "Cool, man." And honestly, we didn't maybe know it was quite as many artists and quite as big of a deal until it was after it was already done. And I'm really glad because if I would have known, like, I was looking at the lineup of who's going to be on this season, I was like, dang. And I was really glad that I didn't know. It was like,
Yeah, there's
'cause I
some
would have been
great,
nervous.
great people. I saw Melissa Etheridge.
Yeah.
There's some country. It's not just rock. There's country. There's like a lot of like a lot of different genres of music. And by the way, your
Yeah.
segment, I think, is going to premiere June 24th and June 25th. So that's really super exciting. And we're super excited because we get you on the 28th here in New Jersey at the PNC Bank Arts Center, a WDHA Presents show with Three Doors Down and Candlebox. And Brad, it's always such a pleasure to see you. And I cannot wait to see you in concert. I can't wait to say hi to you and give you a big hug in person. And Jersey psyched, man. We can't wait to come out and jam with Three Doors.
We're psyched too. And it's always a pleasure to see you too. And I'm excited to get out there this summer. I'm excited to come up there, and I'm excited to get out and play some shows. And, you know, we really kind of only tour in the summer over the last few years. And it's fun to, it was, you know, back in the day, I was talking about playing those 300 shows a year and stuff. That's fun and all, but touring in February sucks.
No doubt about it. I don't know how people do it,
You know,
especially being a singer. I don't know how a singer does it. I do not know how a singer does it. So yeah, absolutely. We'll have some nice Jersey moisture for your vocals this summer. I can promise you that.
I love these easy summer shows.
I love it. Love you. Thank you so much, my friend. Big virtual hug, and we will see you in New Jersey in June.
Thank you so much.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway.